A federal appeals court has denied an appeal by landlords to end the eviction moratorium. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have bad news for you. A federal appeals court has denied the petition by landlords to end the eviction moratorium. It shouldn't be too surprising, but at the same time, I kind of had my hopes up that this would be ended pretty soon, and it just isn't going to happen. So this article comes from The Hill, and it says, Appeals Court rejects bid by landlords to resume evictions. Before I get into this article, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm going to work to keep bringing you news and articles about the eviction moratorium and other things that are of interest to landlords. So let's get into it. A federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday denied a request by a group of landlords to resume evictions, leaving the temporary nationwide eviction moratorium intact for now. The ruling from the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is the latest twist in a multi-front legal challenge to the eviction freeze that was enacted by federal public health officials as a way to keep financially distressed renters in their homes and out of crowded homeless shelters during the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, I'm not surprised that this kind of thing happened. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. I didn't think that the eviction moratorium was going to end this soon, and I honestly think that they're going to extend the federal eviction moratorium even longer if they're able to. No matter how many court challenges that there have been, it just doesn't seem like anyone is on the side of landlords. It just seems like we're on our own during this mess, and man, we're collapsing, and I've got to say that I'm sick of it. I'm just sick and tired of reading these articles about how we need to have this eviction moratorium to help these tenants, yet they aren't providing the money that landlords need to keep their businesses operational. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. The move follows a ruling last month by U.S. District Judge Dabney Friedrich, who struck down the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's eviction moratorium after finding the agency had overstepped its authority. But Friedrich, a Trump appointee, agreed to block her ruling from taking immediate effect to allow time for the Biden administration to appeal. This produced a mixed result for the challengers in the case, a group of landlords that includes the Alabama Association of Realtors and a number of co-plaintiffs. Okay, when this thing comes to an end, it's going to be disastrous because they drug it out for so long and there's so many people who are so far behind on bills, okay? It's not going to end well, and they just keep extending it, and man, it's only going to get worse the longer that this goes on. So I hate seeing this, but at the same time, it's not unexpected at all. But, man, they're talking about billions of dollars behind right now. That's how much renters are behind and how much they owe landlords. And it's only going to get worse. We have to be able to get these tenants out of these properties as soon as possible. And it's just not happening. But I do have another article for you today, and it goes on to what's going to happen next. So let me get this article open for you. Okay, this article comes from NBCnews.com, and it is the next logical step in this whole process. It says, landlord group asks Supreme Court to lift moratorium on evicting tenants. Yeah, I mean, if the Court of Appeals basically threw the eviction moratorium or keeps the eviction moratorium in place and didn't throw the eviction moratorium out, then the next logical step is that we're going to have to push this up to the Supreme Court, and hopefully the Supreme Court will make the decision that benefits us the best. So let's get into this article. A group representing some of the nation's property owners asked the U.S. Supreme Court late Thursday to block enforcement of an order by the CDC that has stopped landlords from evicting tenants who aren't paying their rent during the COVID-19 pandemic. Keeping that order in place will prolong the severe financial burdens borne by landlords under the moratorium for the last 9 months, the group said in an emergency application directed to Chief Justice John Roberts, filed by the Alabama Association of Realtors. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing they could do at this point. They have to push this all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the simple fact is the Congress did not give the CDC powers to stop evictions. Okay, the CDC has these powers that they never were granted by Congress, and I hope that the Supreme Court sees it that way and that they just throw this eviction moratorium out, and then people can finally get their properties back from these non-paying tenants. Okay, and if the whole thing is about how the pandemic is the reason we need to keep this thing going, pandemic's over. Now they're just keeping people in these houses because they feel that, they're going to become homeless. And I'm like, no, these people will find other ways to have somewhere to live. And besides, it's not the responsibility of property owners to house the homeless, to house the poor and the impoverished. That's not the responsibility of property owners. If the government wants to step up and do their job and provide housing for the homeless, then so be it. But do not demand that me and other property owners do that for you. A group representing... Oh, wait, I already read that. Landlords have been losing over $13 billion every month under the moratorium, and the total effect of the CDC's overreach may reach up to $200 billion if it remains in effect for another year. With the pandemic winding down, the application said, the need for the eviction ban is fading. In March, the Biden administration extended the moratorium on housing evictions through the end of this month. Yeah, if Biden wants to put the message out there that the pandemic is truly winding down, then he would not extend this eviction moratorium past the end of the month. And then maybe this Supreme Court case wouldn't even matter at that point. But I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, I honestly don't. It's not part of his platform to suddenly allow evictions on a whole bunch of tenants. So he's really got himself in a pretty bad situation, and he'd rather take it out on the property owners. But if it's the case that he extends this eviction moratorium, maybe the Supreme Court will get rid of it. Whatever happens, this will end eventually, and when it ends, it's going to be a nightmare for these landlords trying to get their money back, and for the tenants who are going to lose their homes. Okay, so let's get this problem resolved now rather than dragging it out until later when it's only going to be worse.